So having said that, let's bring our reference a little closer. Let's go black and white. Make that full opacity. And add a new layer of the eye. So I'm not going to do the wireframe. I'm just going to treat it like a painting. So I'm going to squint a little bit. I'll look for where these darks are, knowing that that shape that I just put in that direction is following the geometry of what we just explained. And the more you do that, the more you kind of simplify your brush strokes on that geometry, which is very simple when you break it down. It'll have that painterly effect, as though you're painting the planes of the face. And I know a lot of people like to study the Asaro head, which is perfectly fine. My one thing about that is that it's a really great thing to study, but I recommend studying a bunch of other different kinds of faces and kind of just sketching over a low poly version of geometry on top of different photos and references so that you can really start internalizing more than just one low poly version of a face. All right, so we got some highlights here on this side of the geometry of the lower eyelid. And then it goes back into shadow. All right, and there's a bit of a highlight right here. And then it just starts to really come together. I'm going to shade by just selecting the in-between color value. Well, just value, not really color. I guess it's a color, or lack of color, whatever. And just going in at it. So nice little highlight right there. Gonna grab the airbrush to smooth things out a little bit. I'm just looking for the subtle gradations between the edges. The whites of the eyes are a little bit brighter here. And there's a shade here. Now, if we simplify just this whole area, let me just get that value to be a little bit darker. We could say that initially you could just squint your eyes and follow that initial geometry that we set up, which is this side is in shadow and this side is in light, right? And by doing that, you can start carving into things, detail. But that value grouping is super important. Just going to squint my eyes and kind of just check my values. And when it comes to things like color, which we'll talk about later, honestly, that comes with a lot of practice for it to be intuitive. But the number one thing that you should be really good at first is values. If your values are off, there's no way you can get your colors to be right. It's you can't have color without knowing values. I know some people also refer to values as tone. I just prefer. I was taught by referring to them as the value. Yeah, that's just the way it was. Anyway, let's just paint some more stuff in and correct as we go. And it's certainly a form study because it's not really an appealing painting. The proportions are a little bit off, but again, that's not the point.